At the age of 15, David was an ordinary schoolboy. He liked a girl named Millie, who was very fond of traveling. David gave her a crystal ball, but the local bully Mark took away her gift from the girl and threw it into the river. The crystal ball fell on the ice, and David followed it. Alas, the ice under his feet cracked, and the guy sank to the bottom. David found himself in the icy water. He was immediately swept away by the current, but the guy did not die, but teleported to the library. That is how he first learned about his superpowers. David returned home to his strict father. The man immediately started another scandal, and the student teleported back to the library. After thinking for a while, he returned home once more and packed his things to move to another city. Poor Millie cried bitterly, thinking that her friend had died. But at night, she saw the crystal ball near her house and realized that David had survived. Our hero starts a new life in New York. He rents the cheapest room in a local hotel and trains every day to learn how to manage his superpower well. Teleportation doesn't always go well, but the guy tries very hard. One day, David notices a bank building in front of him and decides to rob it. He goes to the bathroom and teleports straight to the bank vault. The guy steals a whole bag of money, and then another and another and another. His bed is now literally strewn with banknotes. Upon learning about the theft of money, bank employees call the police, the FBI, and the security service. The robbers somehow got into the vault without even opening the armored door. But how is this possible? David enjoys unexpected wealth. For 8 years, he has been living a luxurious life in his luxurious mansion in New York. When our hero gets bored, he teleports to some new interesting place. One evening, David shows up at a London bar and flirts with a pretty blonde. One of the visitors looks at him curiously. After drinking a couple of cocktails, David and the blonde leave the bar and spend the night together. In the morning, our hero wants to surf, but there are no waves at all on the sea. However, this is not a problem. David teleports on a fidge and enjoys the steepest waves, and then rests on the statue of the Sphinx in the middle of the Egyptian pyramids. We see a dark-skinned, gray-haired man torturing a guy and calling him an abomination. They use electricity and a sharp dagger against the poor guy. It seemed that this guy also knew how to teleport, and he was severely punished for it. David doesn't know anything about this and calmly returns home. There he is met by the same dark-skinned man. His name is Roland, and he is the leader of the Paladins. This is a religious organization that considers teleporters to be accomplices of the devil and wants to destroy them. Roland has special electroshock equipment, and he captivates David. Due to the powerful electric shocks, the guy cannot teleport. Roland pulls out his weapon, but with great difficulty, David still manages to move to his hometown and even take a couple of bags of money with him. David finds the house where Millie once lived and meets with her mom. The woman reports that her daughter works at a local bar. David goes there immediately. He notices Millie at the bar and is so worried that he wants to leave, but bumps into his former abuser, Mark. At that moment, Millie notices him. Mark is drunk and harasses the girl, and David stands up for her and starts a fight with the bully. They are waving their fists so furiously that at one point, David accidentally teleports into a bank vault with his rival. Or maybe it wasn't an accident. In any case, David goes back and Mark stays in the vault. Our hero is chatting sweetly with Millie. He lies that he works as a financier. And the girl is very surprised because her friend does not understand mathematics at all. David invites Millie to fly with him to Rome because he knows that the girl has dreamed of visiting there since childhood. Of course, she agrees. Roland visits Mark in prison and interrogates him, claiming to be a security officer. He finds out that it was David who teleported the guy to the bank. Meanwhile, David himself and Millie are flying to Rome. They rent a room in a luxury hotel, and the girl realizes that an ordinary financier cannot earn so much money. But David doesn't tell her his secret. They go for a walk around the city and soon reach the Colosseum. Alas, it is already closed. When the guards turn away from the people, David teleports inside and opens the gate to secretly let Millie in. Our heroes are the only visitors to the Colosseum. Thanks to David, they can even enter an enclosed space and roam through all the mazes. David steps aside to teleport once again and open a new door, but on his way he meets the same guy we saw earlier in the bar. It turns out that he is also a teleporter. His name is Griffin, and he doesn't consider David his enemy. Griffin warns our hero that he is in great danger. Soon, paladins led by Roland actually appear in the Colosseum. David wants to teleport, but he is immediately captured. But Griffin is more agile, so he easily dodges his enemies, moves literally at the speed of light, and saves not only himself, but also David. It turns out that paladins hunt teleporters and Griffin hunts paladins. When an employee of the Colosseum appears, Griffin and David teleport to a special shelter, which Griffin uses to hide from the chase. David immediately goes back to save Millie. The guy takes the girl away from the Colosseum, but on his way out, he is arrested and taken to the police station. Millie tries to free her boyfriend, but no one listens to her, but someone very influential appears. This is Mary, and she is David's mom who abandoned him as a child. It turns out that she is one of the highest paladins. Mary helps her son escape before the other paladins arrive. David finds Millie, lies to her that he has been released, gets the girl into a taxi, and sends her to the airport. He gives her a plane ticket and shows her his backpack full of money. David tells the girl that they have to break up. Millie leaves for her flight with tears in her eyes. Roland arrives at David's home and talks to his father, William. The man admits that he last saw his son 8 years ago. Roland notices a photo of Mary in the house, and he is very surprised. It turns out that the Supreme Paladin has a teleporter son. David teleports to Griffin's hideout. Our hero learns that paladins have been hunting teleporters for centuries. After that, David returns to his hometown and finds his father on the floor. He teleports him to the hospital and begs the doctors to save him. And he visits Griffin again and asks his friend to unite in order to defeat Roland and protect Millie. Griffin refuses and abandons David in the middle of the desert. However, our hero constantly follows him and does not leave him alone for a second. Griffin is furious. However, David does not intend to give up. Guys are driving around the city at night in a fancy Mercedes. Griffin manages to make small teleportations even with the car. He is really cool. The fact is that Griffin has been teleporting since he was 5 years old. David rushes to the airport and finds out that the plane from Rome landed an hour ago. He goes to the bar, but the girl is not here. Then our hero finds her apartment. Fortunately, Millie is here, safe and sound. Soon, a car with paladins drives up to Millie's house. David confesses to his girlfriend that he robs banks, after which he reveals his secret to her and takes her to Griffin's hideout. The paladins find a fresh portal in Millie's apartment and use special equipment to follow David and move into his hideout. Griffin notices David and Millie, and he doesn't like it very much. He understands that the paladins will be here any minute. That is what happens soon. The paladins break into Griffin's hideout, and a chaotic battle ensues between them and the teleporters. Roland pulls out his dagger again, but David is once again saved by Griffin. He steals the paladin's ATV and wants to escape while Millie runs to save David. Griffin returns and teleports a huge bus onto the battlefield. Roland survives, and then Griffin tries to set him on fire. While they are fighting furiously, Millie frees David and asks him to move her to some safe place. However, the guy does not have time to do this, as Griffin and Roland return. Paladin grabs Millie and takes her with him. David wants to save his beloved, but Griffin has other plans. He prepared a real bomb, wanting to kill all the paladins along with Millie. David is adamantly against it, so he steals Griffin's detonator for his bomb and teleports away. Griffin follows him. They teleport all over the world, but they never stop fighting and taking the detonator from each other. At some point, our heroes find themselves in Chechnya on the battlefield. There, David lures Griffin into tangled high-voltage wires that disrupt his ability to teleport. David leaves his friend in Chechnya and teleports himself to Millie's apartment. Alas, it is a trap, and the paladins immediately catch him and chain him to the wall. David can't teleport himself, but he can do it with Millie's apartment. He grabs his beloved and makes the most incredible jump. The apartment is flooded with water, and all our heroes begin to drown. With the last of his strength, David and Millie teleport to the very library where he got 8 years ago. However, Roland also gets here with them. David grabs Roland and takes him to the Grand Canyon. He leaves the man alive, provided that he stops following him, and he returns back and finds his mother. It turns out that all these years Mary protected him and hid the fact of his existence from her colleagues. When he teleported for the first time, the woman left the family so as not to harm him. David says goodbye to his mother and returns to Millie. It is very cold outside, and the girl asks her lover to move her to some warm place. It is a piece of cake for David.